Have you ever loved someone so much that you give up your most precious possession for them? In 1st century Judea, a woman named Mary did exactly that, through an act so profound it would be remembered for generations to come. Picture yourself in the town of Bethany, just outside Jerusalem. The air is thick with the aroma of a feast, and in a modest home, Jesus reclines at the table. Among those present is Mary, sister of Martha and Lazarus, whom Jesus had recently raised from the dead. But Mary's heart holds a secret, and she's about to perform one of the most memorable acts of devotion in biblical history. In her hands, Mary clutches an alabaster jar. This isn't just any container, it holds pure nard, a fragrant perfume so precious that its value equals an entire year's wages for a common laborer. Some scholars estimate it would be worth tens of thousands of dollars in today's currency. For many families, this would represent their entire life savings, often passed down through generations. The room falls silent as Mary approaches Jesus. Without hesitation, she breaks the alabaster jar, an act of total commitment, as these containers were designed to release their precious contents drop by drop. But Mary isn't interested in holding anything back. The sweet, powerful fragrance of nard fills the entire house as she pours it over Jesus' head and feet. In an act of profound humility, Mary then does something that shocks the dinner guests. She lets down her hair, something reserved only for the privacy of one's home, and uses it to wipe Jesus' feet. In that culture, touching a man's feet and letting down one's hair in public were actions that could spark scandal. But Mary's focus isn't on social propriety. It's on expressing her complete devotion to Jesus. The reaction is immediate and harsh. Judas Iscariot, keeper of the disciples' money bag, voices what others are thinking. Why wasn't this perfume sold and the money given to the poor? The Gospel of John reveals his true motives. Judas was a thief who helped himself to their common funds. But his words strike a chord with other disciples, who join in criticizing Mary's extravagant display. But Jesus sees what others miss. "Leave her alone," he commands, silencing the critics. "She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me." In that moment, Jesus reveals that Mary's act carries prophetic significance. She has anointed his body beforehand for burial. While others, including his closest disciples, still struggle to accept his coming death, Mary somehow understands and responds with this profound act of worship. This story transcends time because it challenges our understanding of true worship. In a world that often demands practical justification for every action, Mary's waste of valuable perfume seems foolish. But true love often appears wasteful to those watching from the outside. Jesus declares that wherever the gospel is preached throughout the world, Mary's act will be remembered, a promise fulfilled to this day. The fragrance of nard has long since faded from that house in Bethany, but the essence of Mary's devotion continues to perfume the pages of Scripture. She gave her most precious possession, but more than that, she gave her dignity, her reputation, and her complete devotion. She held nothing back. The alabaster jar had to be broken to release its full potential. Similarly, Mary's act teaches us that our most precious gifts often require breaking from conventional wisdom, breaking from others' expectations, breaking from our own plans and securities. The perfume's fragrance filled the entire house, just as authentic acts of worship influence far beyond their immediate context. Jesus' words, "She has done what she could," stand as one of the greatest commendations in Scripture. Not she did everything, or she did more than others, but simply what she could. It reminds us that true worship isn't measured by quantity, but by the wholeness of our devotion. This story challenges us to examine our own expressions of love and worship. What's our alabaster jar? What precious thing are we holding on to that might be better poured out in devotion to God? Mary's example shows us that no gift is too extravagant, no act too extreme when it comes to expressing love for Jesus. The criticism Mary faced reminds us that authentic worship often attracts opposition. Yet she remained focused on Jesus, undeterred by others' opinions. Her silence in the face of criticism speaks volumes. She let her actions of love speak for themselves, and Jesus himself became her defender. 2,000 years later, Mary's offering continues to teach us about lavish love, about worship that costs us something, about devotion that doesn't calculate the price. In a world obsessed with practical returns on investment, her story reminds us that love's truest expressions often defy logical explanation. The broken alabaster jar stands as a timeless symbol of worship that holds nothing back, teaching us that our most precious offerings might need to be broken to release their full potential. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more.